The Halion Chronicles. The protectorate of Hellas stands at the edge of war. Titans stir, and ancient machines whisper in the void. Beneath the crimson grays of Thanatos, fate is cast in steel and circuitry. The Olympians walk among the mortals, spinning their schemes. Myth do not endure, they break, they burn, they fall. Only those bold enough to defy fate may earn their place among legend. Your cyber saga journey continues now. Parched. Thrish turned, cutting through the dead market, toward its far end. The scroll tugged at his thoughts like a weight, and it cinched his leather cloak tighter around his waist as he set out for the high temple. The mist thickened through Tuul's alleys, turning each step into a negotiation with the jagged, uneven cobblestones, warped by the earth's unrest. Approaching Gaia's refuge, the ancient spring at the center of the market, Thrish paused. The structure rose before him, like a forgotten dream made metal and myth, an impossible mechanism of spheres and brazen gyros suspended in sacred symmetry, orbiting an oculus of quiet light. Even after all these years, he couldn't fathom how such a thing could function. Water flowing eternally from an impossible well in the middle of the Shardlands. No aqueducts, no known source, no logic. Only the Titans or the gods themselves could have forged such a relic. A Dracon man, his emerald scales catching the dim glow, croaked out to nearby bystanders.
"This is a bad omen. The gods are angry. We must find what's blocking the spring before it's too late."
His voice trembled with age and dread. Clawed fingers tightened around his gnarled walking stick. Now, that miracle was failing. A crowd had gathered below the floating construct, jostling and kneeling to scoop the final shimmering threads of water as they spiraled downwards in reluctant drips. The pall had fallen over the market. Panic simmered, rising fast. Whispers turned to murmurs, rumors blooming like sparks in dry grass. All knew, if the water ceased, Tuul would empty out within days. Thrish halted, his eyes keen as blades, watching merchants abandon their stalls in frantic pursuit of water. A broad-shouldered merchant muttered to his human companion. "If the water stops, we're done for. The powerful will turn against the poor, and who will guard the rift from the Pluton hordes when the water runs dry?" The merchant shifted his heavy pack and cast uneasy glances over the growing crowd. Pilgrims and travelers, faces lined with fatigue and unease, traded worried glances. Some raised voices in panic, others urged calm, insisting it was temporary. But fear hung thick, a contagion spreading fast. A slender red woman from the Demeter tribe, her dusty grey fur clinging to her lean frame, cradled a small child tightly. A traditional Demeter dress, a patchwork of layered hemp, bone thread embroidery, and scavenged tech cloth, rustled softly as she knelt. she whispered to another of her kin. "Fill every vessel we have. The priests won't help. Only the strong get saved. Think of the little ones." Her whiskers twitched as she plunged her jug into the shallow stream of water left in the well. Trish spotted a group of Bithona priests, their dark robes making them stand out amidst the brewing commotion. They were hurriedly discussing something, their expressions grave. Trish knew that the well was more than just a source of water. It was a symbol of life, of sustenance in the harsh shortlands. Without it, or even rumors of its curse, Tuul's bustling heart would cease to beat. Despite the urge to investigate further, Trish forced himself to turn away. The High Priest's summons could not be ignored, and he had a duty to fulfill. Yet as he moved away from Gaia's refuge, the anxious murmurs and the sight of desperate faces stayed with him. He wondered what could have caused the well to dry up. The cobblestone streets, lit by the dim glow of carved braziers and rusted archways, felt more foreboding than ever. Shadows slipped between alleyways, drawn like moth to flame, while the city held its breath, waiting for the water to flow again. Trish quickened his step, the scroll's burden heavy on his mind, but the image of Gaia's refuge lingered like a thorn. Navigating Tuul's uneven alleys, he sensed a presence behind him. The mist clung thick to the air, shadows stretching with eerie purpose. His sharp eyes cooled the gloom, suspicion rising. A bounty hunter, perhaps. Worse, an old debt come calling. Glancing back, he saw a figure emerging from the gloom. A hunched man, vaguely human, though the curve of his spine and the strange twitch in his gait gave him the silhouette of something less than whole. His hands were grotesquely crippled, fingers bent like withered roots, twitching constantly as if remembering pain. The old beggar's eyes bulged with a mix of terror and wild insight, darting around with the look of one who had seen too much and made too little sense of it. Ragged layers of cloth, once perhaps robes, now hung in greasy tatters from his skeletal frame. His skin clung to bone like parchment, grayed and blotched with some unknown affliction. He stumbled forward on raw feet wrapped in mismatched scraps, muttering half prayers and half accusations to gods no longer listening. Madness danced at the edges of his stare, yet something lucid flickered beneath, a desperate intelligence clinging to reason in the storm of his mind. "Please, Kyrie," the beggar rasped, voice hoarse and ragged like rusted hinges. "A bit of food or water. I heard the spring has dried up. I'm afraid Tuul will be deserted soon." Relief washed over Trish. No threat, just a pitiful soul tethering between fear and madness. He reached into his pouch, drawing a small pot and a flask of water, and handed them over. The beggar's eyes flared with manic gratitude as he took the offerings, hands trembling like leaves in a storm. "Thank you, Kyrie," he muttered, lips twitching as he guzzled the water. "So kind. May the gods see you. May they see us all." Trish leaned in, voice low and firm. I need answers. Have you heard anything? Anything about why the spring has stopped? The beggar nodded, wiping his mouth with a trembling hand.
Rumors, mostly. Some say the Plutons did it, preparing the storm on Tuul. Others think it's the work of a curse, Hades himself, angered by the sinners and Tuul's debauchery. And then there's talk of strangers lurking near the spring at night, shadows melting into the mist.
Trish's ears twitched. The ramblings sounded like a stew of fear, myth, and marketplace madness. Half-truth at best, if not complete nonsense. He had heard of 100 variations of such tales in his time. Thank you, he said curtly, brushing past the beggar's extended hands as they reached again for more pods. With a final glance over his shoulder, Trish continued on his way. As he wove through the narrow alleys of Tuul, Trish sensed the beggar still trailing behind, a persistent shadow drawn by the scent of kindness. He finally turned, curiosity outweighing caution. The beggar's eyes sparkled with something more than gratitude now, something fraying at the edges.
Thank you for the pots of water, Kyrie,
he crooned, voice wheedling and thin.
If you've more to spare, I might whisper things others dare not speak.
Trish studied him, then reached into his pouch. All right, but no tales from drunk widows or lunatics. Make it worth the pod. The beggar nodded fervently, his twisted hands fidgeting with manic energy.
Many souls have come to Tuul. Elysia, Klespos, the tribes of the shards,
he whispered, eyes darting.
They flock for the sacrifice, the one the high priest promised under Thanatos' bloodlight. And now the water has stopped. Gaia turns her face. It's an omen, don't you see?
Trish passed him the pot without a word. The beggar snatched it greedily, his grin cracked and wide. Go on, Trish muttered. The beggar snatched the pot with surprising speed.
There is a wealthy soul from Klespos. Lynceus, they call him. Keeps in the shadows. Hoards his relics like a worm in a vault. Doesn't spare a pot for the starving. He's tucked away on the far side of town, whispering to his bones.
Trish arched a brow. Lynceus, you say? And the Mystius? The name rang deep in his skull, echoing beneath the fur like a vibration from some buried alarm. A face flickered in his mind, uncertain, blurred by memory, but familiar enough to leave him unsettled, wondering where their paths had crossed before. The beggar's eyes shimmered, greedy and glazed, his crippled hands fanned open like a performance.
Kyrie?
With a resigned grunt, Trish passed him another pod. The beggar's grin widened, teeth missing like memories.
Ah, yes, the Mystius. Likely his guard dogs. Sharp steel and sharper tempers. They keep to themselves, though, like wolves watching the flock. But he's not the only vulture circling. Araron's soldier have come too. Cloaked in duty, they say. Come for the sacrifice, or something.
Thrish leaned in, attention sharpening. Where are Araron's men now? The beggar's palm shot out again, trembling. Another pot clinked into it.
Outside the gates, the beggar rasped. Guarding the rift, the plutons stir. More, every night. The soldiers hold the line for now. But beasts don't wait forever. Nor do gods.
Thrish nodded slowly, the pieces sliding into place or falling apart. You've been helpful. Keep your ears open for more, and you might earn yourself a few more pots. The beggar's eyes gleamed, but something wild shimmered behind the promise of obedience.
I'll keep that in mind, my kind Ratman. May Hermes protect your steps. Though even the swiftest god may falter in a city cursed from beneath.
Thrish said nothing and turned towards the temple. The beggar's mutter trailed after him like smoke. Laughter, half choked by dust. A hum like a prayer being forgotten. The alleys tightened around him, walls leaning in as if to listen. Mist crawled across the cobbles like spilled breath, and the city exhaled secrets too old for memory. Each step echoed louder than the last. Thrish tried to shake the beggar's words, but they clung like burrowing insects. Fabrications or not, the idea of Lynceus, the Mystios, and Araron's men holding the line against the swelling horrors lingered. And what if that line failed? He quickened his pace, heart tapping faster beneath his cloak. In the cold darkness of Hades, shielded from the swirling glow of Thanatos, something ancient had begun to stir. Thank you for listening to the Halion Chronicles. You journeyed until the end and likely enjoyed your travels through this episode. Let us know with a like and share it with fellow travelers of Halion. Never miss an episode, subscribe and turn on the notification to stay ahead of the unfolding saga. For free additional content, lore deep dives and more stories from Halion, visit our Substack at halionchronicles.substack.com.